Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Cosmos Atom. I do want to say that I'm not a financial advisor. You should do your own research before investing money into crypto. And if you haven't seen the previous update, make sure to watch that before watching this one. It's going to be linked in the top right hand corner of the screen. Now let's jump straight into the TA. Taking a look at the daily chart, you can see that our support block is holding perfectly. If you set up some buy limit orders, or if you had set up some buy limit orders, you already could have been filled in. And I think these are great prices to dollar cost average into Cosmos. As long as we stay above this June 2022 low, we should be good for continuation. This is not looking terrible at all. If you look at some other altcoins, they're way below their even March 2020 low. So Cosmos is doing very good. And anything below $8 is a steal in my opinion. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. If we quickly take a look at the daily RSI, you can see that we are in the oversold as of right now. And this is typically a very good buying opportunity. Just like we were oversold back in June, that was a nice buying opportunity. And before that, we were oversold in June 2022. So 2 times in the past year, or a bit more than a year. And if you take a look at the resistance levels here, if you're looking for some swing trades, you can sell off of these trend lines and buy back in at the next pullback, depending on what percentage you're looking at. We did lose this yellow support trend line once again, so this might start acting as a resistance here once we start coming back up, and then we might hit our head on it and then start coming back one more time. But in the next few days, I would be expecting some sort of a relief rally, because once you have a very strong pullback, you get very overextended from the EMAs, you typically tend to come back down and sort of reset. So we might be seeing some sort of a move to the upside here, and we might hit our head on the 20 EMA. We might briefly go back above $8, and then we might come back down into the block and just consolidate here for a while. To be honest with you, I wouldn't mind that at all, because these, once again, are very, very lucrative prices. So if you still don't have any Cosmos and you're still thinking that this is too expensive, then I don't know. I don't think you're going to be able to buy in, at $2 or even $5 here. It would take a major market-wide crash for Cosmos to drop below, $6 or $5. We'll see what happens. Obviously, anything is possible. I'm not saying that we're never gonna go below $5, but I'm saying just manage your expectations and don't expect to catch the bottom at least every single time. So if you don't have a position, this is where I would be buying in. Okay, so let's switch over to the weekly chart. And before we continue with the video, I quickly want to mention my Patreon that's linked down below in the description. If you enjoy my content, you want to get more exclusive content, and you want to support me at the same time, definitely feel free to check out the Patreon, because you're going to get a 7-day free access on my Patreon and an instant access to all of my content since October 2021, which is when I started. You'll get access to content like exclusive weekly podcasts, and we're starting to invite guests already. We have 40 plus low cap gem posts. We have a bunch of project reviews. We have a bunch of resources that are going to help you save time and make more money with this upcoming bull market. So this is definitely a great exchange of value for the both of us. And once again, there's a 7-day free trial. Feel free to check it out. You can leave anytime, and let's continue with the video. Okay, taking a look at the weekly chart, we have a Fibonacci retracement set up from the swing low in June 2022 to the swing high in January 2022. And you can see that we are slowly coming back down to this low. So maybe a retest will happen after all, because typically what happens when you print this major bottom or bear market bottom is that you start moving to the upside, you create some sort of a pattern, and then you end up coming back down to where you started retracing from. So in this case, this would be $6.66. So maybe a wick down here is possible after all. We'll see. If you want to be on the safe side, feel free to set up some buy limit orders just in case something happens when you're asleep or when you're at work. You can also see we have this major white trend line that has been acting as resistance since January 2022. and then we finally broke above in December last year, and ever since then we've been floating above it, but we were moving to the downside, as you can see. And maybe we are going to be seeing a retest off of this trend line, because typically what happens with resistance trend lines, for those of you who have been on the channel for a while probably know this, once you break above a resistance level, you look for a backtest of support. So this backtest might have, taken us 6, 7, 8, 9 months, but it is going to happen by the looks of things if we continue down in this trajectory. So if that happens, we're potentially looking at around about $5.40. So if you want to be on the safe side, feel free to set up some buy limit orders here, but I would not be leaving my entire stack waiting to buy in below $6. So it's okay to average in at these prices. This is already very, very cheap. Now we are getting a bit overextended from the 20 EMA, and the 20 EMA is getting a bit overextended from the 55 EMA. So the same applies to the weekly chart. We might see some sort of a relief rally. We might come back up to $10 and then come back down, hit our head on a resistance and then come back down. And you can see we stayed in this support trend line or support block between $10 and $8.50. We had a nice bounce here and moved to the upside, back test of resistance, and now we're losing that level. So what could happen is that we might hit our head on $8.50, and from there we retest the next support block below. So be careful buying in once we are in this relief rally. This is when you should be buying in right now. We also lost this symmetrical triangle here that we were in for a few months, more than a year actually. So if we are looking for some sort of a target to the downside, this would be unrealistic, because I don't think we're going to be looking at $2.87 because that would be unrealistic. So you have to apply logic sometimes to these charts, or not sometimes, but 90% of the time. And I would say target this support block between $6.66 and $5.66. This is based on some of the touches that we had here on the chart, but I just fixed up the block a bit because it was a bit messy. So this is our touch here that we had back in November 2020 at $6.40, and then we had this retest of resistance back here in November 2020 as well, and ever since then we broke out in January 2021, and we haven't seen a retest of that area. So hopefully, actually we did see a retest here in June 2022, but this was just a wick. So maybe this time we're actually gonna start closing some candles in this green block. If that happens, that doesn't change anything, honestly, because I'm bullish on the project, and if you're bullish on the project, these price changes should not affect you whatsoever. So hopefully we're going to be going even lower, guys. As always, I try to say this, the lower the prices go, the better it is for us, but at the end of the day, we're looking for the prices to go up in 2024 to 2025. We're looking for the next bull market, and I'm going to be taking profits at these. You can see that we have 3 targets here, and I will be looking at Bitcoin at the same time. So if we are not sitting at $90 and Bitcoin's already at 120, I'll be selling at whatever price we're at that time. So I will not be waiting for these targets to be met specifically, unless Bitcoin still hasn't had that major move to the upside, and Bitcoin still hasn't even broken above 100K. So you have to apply logic there as well. You don't just have to wait with your entire stack of coins for that target just because the Fib says so, right? Just because the Fib shows us 141 doesn't mean that that's exactly where you should be selling, but that's sort of your reference point to what you can expect in the future based on the Fibonacci retracement. But you can always adjust your targets based on the environment and the sentiment and Bitcoin and the Fed and all of those important things that you should keep in mind. Now, taking a look at the weekly RSI, you can see that we're coming back down to this major support level here that we did retest once previously, and this was back in March 2020. So let me just increase this. There we go. So 33.6 is a major level for us to back test. We had a bounce off of that level back in March 2020. We could have another bounce over here. So once again, this is looking like a very, very healthy spot to be accumulating more tokens. With the next move to the upside, we might run into the green block and then have a pullback, or we might run into the white trend line and have a pullback from there, because this white trend line has been our resistance for quite a while. Now, these are some of the things that you might be looking at if you're looking to swing trade, but if you're like me and you're just staking and waiting for the bull market to arrive, you don't really care about these short-term resistances. The stochastic RSI, as you can see, is in the oversold as well. So this means that we are sitting at a very good buying opportunity right now. And the MACD has actually printed the bearish cross back in April. So this is not a very reliable indicator to be using on its own, but as of right now, you can see that we did have some sort of a squeeze here where the EMA bounced off the signal line. And this was kind of a looking glass, but you can't really determine all these things based on the MACD alone. So you have to use other oscillators as well. And you can see there's literally no volume on the weekly chart. So this is the time to be buying when it's boring. So thank you very much for watching this video, guys. Let me know what are your long-term targets for Cosmos. It's great to be back after the vacation, and we'll get back to daily content on the channel. Take care.